On Osrc News at 7, Ondo State's government declassifies land to boost industrial-scale agribusiness. Weather shift raises health concerns in Ondo amidst climate change. Reps form committee to harmonize Electoral Act Amendment Bill with Senate version. From the foreign scene, Trump removes job protections for thousands of U.S. federal workers. Good evening and welcome to the news on Osrc television. My name is Oyewumi Ayinigbara. The present administration in Ondo State is committed to modernizing the agriculture value chain for greater productivity and economic diversification. Hence, has declassified 100,000 hectares of land for the cultivation of oil palm, cashew, and cocoa. Speaking at the groundbreaking ceremony of Noreta Farm Limited, Ayedatiwa hailed the high-tech industrial-scale closed environment project as a breakthrough in re-engineering the state's economy. He emphasized its role in fostering a green and sustainable future, creating jobs, spurring industrial growth, and boosting internal revenue to enhance food. Government House correspondent Wahab Bankole has details.
The high-tech industrial-scale and closed environment agricultural project owned by Noreta Farm Limited is located in Owenaidori, Ondo State, driven by its commitment to food security and job creation through technology-driven agriculture. Governor Lucky Ayedatiwa performed the ceremony alongside members of the State Executive Council. In his remarks, a member of the company's board of directors, Pelumi Olajengbesi, explained that Ondo State was selected after a thorough assessment of government support, security, and business-friendly environment for private sector investment across the Southwest.
Why we are here in Ondo State to set up this big project is because we believe that we have an environment where businesses like this can thrive. What we are starting with right now is precision green farming, what the Englishman called the closed environment farming. We are doing about 15,000 hectares for a start. But however, it is our vision that Noreta Farms will be able to establish a big market farmer in Ondo State that will be the largest in West Africa. And this is possible with the vision-driven and governor of Ondo State.
A consultant for the project, Samuel Bagno, expressed gratitude to Governor Ayedatiwa for entrusting Noreta Farm Limited as the technological partner.
It will be also an economical impact. I'm completely sure that this project will be a success, and you can count on us to support you.
Governor Ayedatiwa described agriculture as Ondo State's key comparative advantage, stressing that administration's vision transcends traditional farming. He highlighted successes from the Climate Smart Agriculture Program and commended Noreta Farm Limited for selecting Ondo State as the project location.
From the very beginning of our administration, we made a clear and deliberate choice to place the private sector at the heart of our development agenda, knowing full well that government alone cannot drive sustainable growth and industrialization. Our role includes creating an enabling environment, one defined by clarity of policy, ease of doing business, infrastructure support, and above all, security of lives and property. There is no gainsaying that the fact that these projects align seamlessly With our administration's commitment to economic diversification, food security, job creation, youth empowerment, and export-oriented agriculture.
In a drive to boost Ondo State's economy through agriculture, Governor Aiyedatiwa announced the declassification of 100,000 hectares for oil palm, cashew, and cocoa cultivation. He applauded Noreta Farm's commercial-scale smart precision greenhouse as a model for transforming agriculture.
We are championing agriculture as innovation, as industry, and as enterprise. Projects like these reaffirm our belief that when the government provides the right policy framework and investors bring capital, technology, and expertise, development becomes inevitable.
The governor declared Ondo State open for business and eager to partner with serious investors, both local and international, to build a diversified, industrialized economy hub for its people. In an interview, Chairman of Noreta Farms Board of Directors, retired Major General Bamidele Olawumi, thanked the governor for suiting the path to establish the project in the state, citing his passion for sustainable growth and development.
Our vision in coming to cite this very important project here is to support what the government is doing and to particularly support Mr. President. We have particularly chosen Ondo State because of the peaceful atmosphere we have here, and we are also seeing what the government of Ondo State is doing, providing the right environment for people to come and invest here. That has been our motivation.
Upon completion, the technology-driven agribusiness initiative by Noreta Farm Limited will boost Ondo State's economic prosperity while creating numerous job opportunities for the youth. Wahab Bankole, Osrc News.
Still basking in the euphoria of 50th anniversary of Ondo State, the state marks a remarkable transformation in healthcare from scarce facilities and limited access to a widespread modern health system serving millions. Blessing Obi reports on the journey of healthcare delivery in the Sunshine State.
Ondo State was carved out in 1976. The health sector was a humble one. At that time, the newly established State Ministry of Health inherited only a handful of facilities from the old Western region, including a couple of state hospitals, about 4 general hospitals, 6 district hospitals, among others. Today, Ondo State has well over 1,000 registered health facilities spread across its 18 local government areas. This includes over 600 primary health centers, more than 30 secondary facilities, including general and specialist hospitals, multiple tertiary hospitals, such as teaching and federal medical centers that provide specialist care and training.
If you go back to 1976, when Ondo State was created, of course there were no infrastructure in health. We started building them. I recall that time when I was a young boy, the only health facility in my environment in the large local government then on the river line was a dispensary at Akpata. Who was the health officer there? He was a dispenser. Gradually we started having what looks like primary health care facilities. There's the local government, you have medical officer of health, across the 18 local government. Then we start having at a point health center, with community health officers. And today, the story is different.
Successive administrations have consistently invested in infrastructure, personnel, and emergency response. A major turning point came in 2009 with the Abiye Safe Motherhood program, which helped reduce maternal death and led to the establishment of dedicated mother and child hospitals across the state. The University of Medical Sciences Teaching Hospital has become a flagship institution, offering specialist services once unavailable locally. In recent years, the introduction of the Ondo State Contributory Health Insurance Scheme has widened access to affordable care, especially for pregnant women, children, and vulnerable families.
The health sector of Ondo State has emerged, and we are very glad that so many things have happened over the years, and we thank the current administration, ably led by His Excellency Dr. Lucky Orimiso Ayedatiwa, for sustaining the tempo and also bringing innovation to what has happened in Ondo State. You recall that health insurance commenced in Ondo State by the state government under the Ondo State Contributory Health Commission in 2019, and we have made giant strides. So many programs that the state government is funding for the Abiyamo scheme that catered for pregnant women and children under 5, with over 52,000 beneficiaries and over 19,000 babies delivered under that scheme, and they do not need to pay at the point of service delivery in the 3 senatorial zones.
The current leadership prioritizes the recruitment of health workers, distribution of ambulances, upgrades of primary care centers in every ward. Today's healthcare network spanning federal, state, and community facilities stands in stark contrast to the early years of Ondo State, offering residents hope.
So far, we have reason to celebrate, I can tell you that. You can see the beautifications around, and particularly when you look at the health sector now. Initially, it was nothing to write home about, but now there's a gradual improvement.
From humble beginnings to thousands of health facilities serving millions, Ondo at 50 celebrates the resilience and progress of its health sector, a journey of steady growth and expanding care for all. Blessing Obi, Osrc News.
And now to the national scene, the federal government has launched a key policy document to guard national response to cancer treatment as part of efforts to strengthen its prevention and treatment in the country. The Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Dr. Ishaq Salako, unveiled the document aimed at accelerating access to quality cancer care in Nigeria. The newly launched document includes the Nigerian Nuclear Medicine Strategic Plan and the National Cancer Control Plan 2026 to 2030, which are expected to serve as roadmaps for improving early detection, diagnosis, treatment, and research. The Director General of National Institute for Cancer Research and Treatment said the new centers and policy frameworks aside representing a major step towards lowering the disease burden will improve survival outcomes for patients nationwide. The minister also formally declared 8 oncology and preventive clinics operational across major federal tertiary health institutions in the country. Away from health, the House of Representatives has set a conference committee to reconcile differences between its version of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the one recently passed by the Senate. The spokesperson of the House, Akin Rotimi APC Ekiti, in a statement said the development followed separate passage of the amendment bill by both chambers of the National Assembly. The 7-member conference committee, to be chaired by Adebayo Balogun APC Lagos, is expected to meet with an equivalent team appointed by the Senate to iron out conflicting clauses and reconcile the language in the two bills. Once the harmonized text is agreed, it will be presented to both the House and Senate for final adoption before transmission to President Bola Tinubu for assent. In the meantime, the Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has registered the Democratic Leadership Alliance and National Democratic Congress as new political parties. INEC Chairman Professor Joash Amokwiton made an announcement at a quarterly consultative meeting with leaders of political parties. He stated the move is in accordance with Section 28 of the Electoral Act 2022, which mandates the Commission to issue a notice of election at least 360 days before the poll. With this addition, there are now 21 registered political parties in Nigeria. The quarterly consultative meeting convened by INEC with the leadership of the political parties is on the heels of growing public interest and anticipation surrounding the release of the timetable for the 2027 general election. And now we take a short break. When we return, we bring you more stories. Please stay. Thank you very much for rejoining us. You can watch us live on our digital channel More Plus 720 and on our website www.osrc.ng, or follow us on Facebook at Osrc TV, and on YouTube you can subscribe to our channel Osrc TV Undo. As climate change continues to alter weather patterns across Nigeria, including here in Ondo State, health experts are increasingly concerned about the growing impact on public health, especially among children and older adults. Experts say the shift from predictable weather to more extensive dry spells and sudden rains increases health risk and highlights the urgent need for preventive action, including proper hydration, good nutrition, and timely vaccinations. Adewumi Taiwo reports as presented from our studio.
According to local climate data, Ondo experiences a tropical wet and dry climate with annual temperatures averaging about 28 degrees Celsius and more variable rainfall patterns than in the past. But these shifting weather patterns are not just about discomfort. They are influencing health outcomes in real ways. One of the most pressing concerns is the increasing Lassa fever burden in Ondo State. So far in 2025, Ondo State has accounted for about 30% of nationally confirmed Lassa fever cases, making it one of the epicenters of the outbreak. With hundreds of cases reported across the country, Ondo's share reflects how weather and environmental conditions such as prolonged dry seasons that boost rodent populations can aggravate disease transmission locally. Changes in rainfall and humidity also influence vector-borne diseases like malaria. Research shows that increases in temperature and rainfall variation in the region are statistically linked to higher rates of malaria transmission, especially during peak rainy seasons. Exposure to air pollution from vehicle emissions and industry in cities like Akure also varies with season, with higher concentration of nitrogen dioxide recorded during the rainy season, a factor known to contribute to respiratory illnesses in both children and adults. Reacting to the evolving situation, medical practitioner Dr. Olu Aladesuru described it as a potential public health emergency if preventive steps are ignored.
Weather has impact on human beings in what we call the extremes of life. Extremes of life, the young babies and then the very old people. The effect on the able-bodied, adolescents, adults is minimal. For a child, a change in temperature can, not just temperature, the breeze and everything can cause havoc. The wind comes with dryness, and then there could be, when they inhale it, it will affect the chest and everything. And then the old people, their ability to withstand infection is reduced, and therefore this change in weather can affect that age group too. What we need is for mothers to carry their babies well kids with dresses, and then give them, if they are beyond those that are being breastfed, to give them warm food.
UNICEF health specialist on immunization, Dr. Sheikh Kabir, also maintained that vaccination remains a frontline defense against disease outbreaks that can be triggered by weather shifts. He pointed out that extreme heat, flooding, and unsafe water conditions create environments where infectious diseases, including cholera, typhoid, and others, can spread more easily. Dr. Kabir urged parents, caregivers, and community leaders to ensure that children receive all routine immunizations on schedule.
Climate change is affecting environment, food production, which ultimately increasing poverty and also affecting the health sector in terms of evolving diseases, outbreaks. We can see more or frequent outbreaks of diseases, so we need to improve the surveillance so that we can identify the diseases upfront and can undertake preventive measures and outbreak response. In addition to that, we need to strengthen the immunization. So if we can improve the routine immunization, it will protect the children from all those vaccine preventable diseases. It will improve their immunity, so they will be less vulnerable to the climate change. They will be more resilient to the climate changes in terms of health impact.
As climate change continues to reshape weather patterns here in Ondo State and across the country, health experts agree that prevention through awareness, healthy living practices, and vaccination remains the strongest line of defense against emerging health threats.
For decades, unrestricted cattle movement in Ondo State has destroyed farmlands, disrupted livelihoods, and sometimes sparked violent clashes. In response, the Ondo State government enacted the anti-open grazing law on August 31, 2021, aiming to protect farmers' crops and create a peaceful environment for agriculture. But 3 years on, the conflict persists. Our correspondent, Sunday Adeyanju, tells us more.
For many farmers in Ondo State, the sight of roaming cattle in their plantations has become a familiar source of anxiety. Cassava, maize, and vegetable farms are often flattened overnight, leaving farmers counting heavy losses. Last year alone, over 1,500 hectares of crops were reportedly destroyed, amounting to 450 million naira in lost produce. 3 years ago, hope came with enactment of the anti-open grazing law in Ondo State. But that glimmer of hope is fading fast and the crisis resurfaces. Since the law was enacted in 2021, the state has made some enforcement efforts. The Ondo Amotekun Corps reports that over the past 3 years, around 170 herders have been arrested and more than 10,000 cattle impounded for grazing violations. Yet, these measures appear insufficient to curb the ongoing crisis. Chairman of Owena River Basin Farmers Association, Mr. Bisi Adigun, said farmlands continue to suffer destruction almost every month.
If you still go to Ibaroke, at the dam here at Ibaroke, farmers there are still crying. Both farmers of, those who have more than 10 hectares of land and below, individual farmers that have been there for long, they usually call me to report these incidences of their farm being destroyed by cattle. It's as if they have chosen the place for open grazing, because no farmer can boldly come out. They destroy tomatoes. In fact, we encourage most of our youth in that particular area to go into cassava, into tomatoes, maize, and cassava farming. And they are the youth there, they are really working. But still, it is a great discouragement for the youth who are just going to agree to be experiencing this type of disappointment. And we still need to, the government still need to come out so that farmers can understand that yes, government has actually started to implement that policy.
The State Commissioner for Agriculture, Leye Akinola, acknowledged the enforcement gaps. He noted frequent reports of farmer-herder clashes and said the government is working to introduce cattle ranches and fattening centers in each senatorial district.
We want to create alternatives, and Mr. Governor has given me approval in principle to go ahead and look for investors that will establish what you call ranch, but we call it cattle fattening centers in each of the senatorial districts, that anybody can bring his cattle or cows or whatever you call it, bring it there, weigh it out, even the hect of that cattle. So we are trying to come up with this program and system in which, from the point of entry to Ondo State to the point of slaughtering, we want to monitor each cow that enters Ondo State.
Ondo's crisis reflects a nationwide challenge. Across Nigeria, farmer-elder conflicts have displaced over 2.2 million people, caused hundreds of deaths, and destroyed thousands of hectares of farmland. Findings show that Nigeria loses about 7 trillion annually due to these conflicts, severely affecting food security and agricultural productivity. Local agricultural records indicate that farmers in affected areas report up to 30% crop loss annually from cattle invasions. Farmers, especially in Ondo State, are calling on the government to intensify monitoring, improve livestock infrastructure, and implement lasting solutions before the crisis worsens. The anti-open grazing law was meant to bring peace and predictability to agriculture, but the ongoing destruction of plantations and clashes between farmers and herders show that legal framework alone are not enough. Without active enforcement and functional alternatives, the crisis is far from over. Sunday, Adeyanju, Osrc News.
And now to the foreign scene, President Trump will have more power to hire and fire up to 50,000 career federal employees in an overhaul of the government civil service system announced by his administration.
After the Trump administration announced an overhaul of the government's civil service system on Thursday. The changes released by the Office of Personnel Management, or OPM, will give President Donald Trump the ability to make decisions on hiring and firing, fulfilling one of his campaign pledges.
There are thousands of people who work for the federal government here in Washington, D.C.
Caroline Levitt on Thursday called the changes a good thing.
I think if people aren't doing their jobs, if they aren't showing up for work, if they're not working hard on behalf of this president, they're not welcome to work for him at all.
And with that story from the foreign scene, we conclude the news tonight. But before we go, here are the two top stories we'll bring to you tonight. Ondo State Governor Lucky Aiyedatiwa has unveiled a high-tech precision greenhouse by Noreta Farm Limited in Idori, alongside the declassification of 100,000 hectares of land to boost food security and economic growth in the state. And we also told you that the House of Representatives has set up a conference committee to harmonize differences between its Electoral Act Amendment Bill and the version passed by the Senate before transmission to the President. And that's the news tonight. Thank you very much for watching. Good evening.